for you all morning and you did
Not going. Okay, we should be good. Thank you so much for everybody taking time out of your Sunday. I know
I'm just going to listen to
great
this
time, but Sunday evenings felt like at least hopefully you can capture the most people for now at least. But so wanted to start with just a quick welcome. There are so many new faces, so happy to have all of you, so welcome. For those of you that I have not talked with yet or met yet, I am Erin. I am the pseudo leader of this team. And I'm super excited to be here to talk to all of you guys. We have team members from the US and Canada that are hopping on tonight. And this conversation is really the same. Markets can be a little bit different at times, but the path to director really looks similar for everybody across the company. So the reason why we wanted to do this, Courtney and I had been talking a lot about wanting to do some more frequent team calls, especially since we grew so much last month. And specifically, the reason why we focus on the topic of director with Zaya is as you are, people need to mute. I can't hear anybody non-muted. Let me make sure. Looks like everybody is. Okay. And feel free to use the chat if you have questions. Everyone can hear me okay though, right? Okay, because I can't hear any noise, so you guys are good. Except for the noise in my house upstairs. Okay, so the reason why director is so important and such a big focus with Zaya is it is really kind of the milestone that really sort of sets your business apart from being this is fun, this is kind of maybe a hobby, did this for the discount, or, kind of just thought this would be a fun thing. Director is a very significant milestone because it signifies not only a substantial volume that you've accumulated personally, but that your team has done in the span of a month. And $10,000 in a month is a big feat. And so that's why we find director to be such an impactful milestone. And it's also, some people, there are some exceptions to this, but for the vast majority of people, it takes some serious focus and some serious work to get to director. It's not something that you just join and you're like, oh, great, here we go, right? So that's why we really wanted to focus on this. So what I wanted to start with tonight is just to make sure that everyone sort of has an understanding of what director means, what those numbers look like, give you guys some tools to kind of focus on. And then Courtney is going to share a little bit more about sort of her sort of mind process that she goes through as far as how she approaches her mindset, her daily affirmations, and a lot of the things that she's really passionate about that have helped her grow personally and her business. And so she's going to focus on that as well. But what I wanted to start with at least was just kind of a global overview to make sure one of the things that's really important is to make sure you understand what director is, why it's important, and what it means and how you get there, okay? So I put in a team page, there's two worksheets. One's one that you can use as an example for affirmations as part of the mindset piece. And then the other one is kind of more of the nitty gritty when you're starting to look at your goals. And there's trackers that kind of show you, here's what junior rep looks like, senior rep, director, senior director, all of those types of things. And director is also where you start to see your income potential will transition and change as well. And director really is a team effort. So director takes mentoring, it takes sponsoring, obviously, but it's not just bringing in more people. It takes some work and some coaching and some effort to help people get to the level that they need to in order for you to get to the level of director. So it's a team effort. Junior rep and senior rep, obviously you have to have at least one other rep with you, working with you, so you can't do it alone. But junior rep and senior rep are things that you can do with literally two people. As long as you have a first line volume, two people can achieve those things. Director tends to be something, and I'm sure there are two-person director teams. The vast majority of them, though, have had a team effort and some planning that goes into it. So the thing that's really important is that you just need to understand, of course, by looking at sort of what the goals and the milestones are, is what you need to hit and what you need your first line to hit and what you need your total personal volume to be and what you need your group volume. And you'll see there will be some reps that have plenty of personal volume for a long period of time but don't have the group. Vice versa, there's some that have a really strong first line that they've recruited that's ready to go, and they themselves need to do more focus on their sales in order to get their personal volume up so that when their team hits the director level, that their personal volume is at the level that it needs to be. Some of us are naturally better at sales. Some of us are naturally better at recruiters. I'm really good at sales. Courtney's really good at recruiting. We all have different strengths. I really like selling. I don't really like recruiting as much, right? We all have our things and our passions, but to hit director, you have to focus in on both of those things. And then you have to help your team do that as well. And so it's really important to sit down and to have a plan, okay? I always advise people, whether you pen and paper, you use an app on your phone, whatever it is to map things out and is to look at like April for, example, last month was a 5-week month. And in our business, that meant we had 5 launches. So April was a huge month for us. The kit price lowered, we had 5 launches, things explode, right? So when you want to look at your business, you don't want to look at it as just a day-to-day, which is important, but you need to look at it more on the macro level. So what's happening this week? What's happening this month? What's happening 2 months from now? And map it out. And I can tell you right now, those 5-week months are always huge months because we have an additional launch. It's a whole other week of sales. It's a whole other week for your team to be selling. It's a whole other week of events. So those are great to map out ahead of time. So I knew at the start of the year, April was going to be a 5-week month. And I was like, here we go. It vastly exceeded what I was expecting, which is amazing. Because I didn't know the kit price was going to happen to drop in the same month that we had 5 weeks, right? So you don't always know the inner workings. You don't know exactly what's going to launch. You don't know exactly what to plan for from that standpoint. So this is about creating an actual system for yourself and a mindset where you're sitting down, you're focusing on what your goals are, whether it's each day, each month, and you really start to look at it more from a global standpoint. And then you have an understanding of what the numbers mean, right? And so what your first line needs to hit and how can you help them do that? And that's why director is such an important milestone, because it's not just about you. It is about the whole package, okay? And then it is really the launching sort of platform that kind of takes your business to a whole different level. And the reason why we're doing a separate call after this for directors and above is because then once you hit director, then you have to kind of continue to build on that momentum. And that's a whole nother piece to it. But what we wanted to talk about today, and the reason why we opened this up to everybody, is we have reps that are brand new that have like double and triple ranked within a couple of weeks, right? And they have hit director really quickly. We have other reps that are on this call that have been reps for a much longer period of time, and for 80,000 different reasons have been slower to build, whether it's their personal sales or team volume, whatever it is. The thing that's wonderful about this business, though, is that whether you're the 2 weeks in or you're the 6 months in, these things are still attainable and you can still work to them. They take conscious, planned out, creative effort in order to hit those milestones. So that's what I really wanted to make sure that you guys were thinking through. It's very, very important that you have these goals in front of you and you know what that looks like. I had a conversation last month with one of our reps who has been a senior rep. Her team's starting to grow a little bit. And I was like, great, director's next. And she was like, what? No. And I was like, yeah. And, when we sat and looked at him, like, look what your first line is doing. Like, if you take a couple people and you break down their sales, it's not you by yourself doing $10,000 this month. You have like multiple people that you can work with together and work as a team. And you each have like, 2,000, 2,500, whatever, depending on your team size, right? And you map it out and you break it down. It's so doable. It's not to say that it's easy. It takes work, but it is super doable when you break it down and you map it out. So I highly recommend, and again, we all have our different systems. We all have our different ways. Some of us I'm very visual. So I like to sort of like write things out and make lists and make checklists and have kind of like a mental plan for myself of what that looks like. But all of our brains work differently and everybody has kind of their own approach to this. But it's really important that at the start of the month that you tackle it with this mindset of, here's what I'm going for, here's what I'm trying to achieve, here are the numbers that need to happen. And then you create a plan, not only with yourself that you can hold yourself accountable to, but your team as well. And that requires frequent check-ins, that requires, touch points, whether it's weekly calls or it's a text message or a thread or whatever it is, that you guys really have something together, right? You're creating this together. And I think that's one of the beauties of hitting director, is that it's a testament not only to your ability to sell and to be successful in that realm, but it is a testament to you being able to mentor people and guide them and teach them and help them grow, which I think is like just a beautiful part of what we do. And it's an important part of Zaya. And it's what we put a lot of focus into. So that is kind of the purpose of this. So again, there's lots of different, there's all of the rep requirements. It's all kind of written out. I highly recommend, I save them in favorites on my phone. I frequently look at them again. Keep them kind of in your eye line, right? And again, whether you just joined, you've been a senior rep for 6 months, you're a junior rep, you're going for director, whatever it is, talk to your sponsor, talk to your mentor, or Courtney or I, whatever, whoever you find that you think is going to give you what you need to sort of get things going. And then make the process, right? Make, whether it's a checklist using one of the worksheets. And again, each day you have sort of like an action plan of like, here's what I'm looking to post today. Here's what it is I'm looking to connect with these types of people. Have an understanding of like what it is that you're representing and who you're trying to connect with and who your market is and who your network is, because it's different for all of us, right? And then also having an understanding of this month, like I really need to focus on sales, or this month I really need to focus on recruiting, or maybe I need a little of both. And then make your plan around those activities. So I want Courtney to talk a little bit more about kind of what she does as far as how she approaches like her kind of workflow, and also like how she approaches all of this at more of a global level, because these are sort of the nitty gritties of like, you know, I need to hit these numbers. I need to have these types of touch bases with my team and things like that. And if you're not used to doing that, that takes a little bit of practice. You have to kind of get used to it. And a lot of you may have team members that you don't really know, you haven't met, like, you know, you just connected through social media, whatever it is. And so coaching and mentoring in and of itself is kind of like its own skill, right? And so anytime that you need help, just reach out. We're like super happy to help people. And like I said, we come with different skills and we come with different like things that we really enjoy, we're really good at. So there may be one of us that's better at something than the other. But the point of these calls is going to be to sort of have a forum where you guys can get a lot of different ideas, hopefully share ones that are working as well. And again, think about your business, not only from the standpoint of like, here is like the nitty gritty of like what I need to do and how I need to be, you know, hitting these certain checkpoints in order to achieve whatever this next goal or step is. But then also thinking of it on a more like kind of macrocosm level, which is what Courtney is going to share with us. Let me see. Sorry.
There we go.
I think we're doing the same time.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. There we go. Hey guys. Okay, so first I wanted to branch off of what Erin was mentioning with the numbers. I think it's extremely important to print out the sheets that are in our back office that tell the numbers. So you can see right back here in my office, I have them printed out. It's for like the volume you need, the group volume you need, and then below is like the percentage you earn, as the percentages go up. So those are both always in the forefront of your mind so that you know where you're going next. And it's also motivating to see the percentage. Like as you rank advance, your personal commission goes up, your commission goes up on your downline. And I think it's important to have that in front of you all the time too, so that you know why you're pushing so hard for that next goal. So that I think is pretty important to have. Next thing that's really big for me is mindset and like personal belief in yourself. I think that you have to dream big, like you really have to dream big, and you have to come to the point where you believe in yourself that you can reach that goal. So I mean, I've talked with some of you guys, kind of like what Erin mentioned, you're maybe junior rep, senior rep, and we're saying, okay, well, next is director. And some are like, no, not yet. And it's like, yes, director is next. And you have to believe that you are capable of getting there. I'm huge on journals. I've brought some down. I'm huge on journals. I'm huge on affirmations. I know that might not be everybody's thing, but I'm huge on affirmations, and I'm huge on vision boards. So I don't know if you guys have created a vision board, but I have one here. I brought mine down. So usually in my bathroom, in the cabinet where I keep my toothbrush, my deodorant, and all that kind of stuff, I have my vision board and my goal card taped inside there. So every morning I have to look at it, and every night I have to look at it because I have to go into that cupboard. And I find it really important because you're keeping that at the forefront of your mind. You're not pushing it to the side, and it also keeps you motivated. So like for instance, this is mine. I just created it on Canva, and I got a local print shop to print it out. And I did this in January, and right here it says Double Zaya Executive, and it's April. And I didn't think we would get it that soon. And it's just the power of keeping your goals in front of your mind, especially like on paper. I also have like a little goal card. So I just take like a cue card and I write out a goal. If you guys need help with wording, I can help with that. And I just write this out, and it sits in my bathroom like this. So I read my goal card every morning and I look at my vision board. And I find that that helps keep me in the path to moving forward. And then last used, you can see that like the pages, it's like journal. And I have affirmations that I write down each day. I find that doing gratitude each morning really helps set the tone for the day. Sometimes we can get into the cycle of things and, you know, kind of get off track for a bit. So I find really grounding yourself and being grateful for just having clean water, and grateful for like my morning coffee, or grateful that the family's healthy, really sets the tone to bring more gratitude into your life. So that is that what you were kind of looking for, Erin, for mindset? Do you want me to go into anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that you want to share about kind of like what your process looks like, obviously, because I mean, clearly, as we've all seen, like Courtney's had tremendous success with this business, right? And so, and I think it's important also to kind of like point out, as Courtney would probably say herself as well, like she's done other direct sales before, and I'm pretty sure you weren't quite as successful previously as you have been with Zaya, right? And so I think that's a testament to a lot of things, one of which being her commitment to her process, another being just a recognition of like what an incredible opportunity this is as well, particularly for those of you that are in Canada being a new market, but also those of you that are in the US that are in an untapped, there's a lot of areas in the US still that are very like kind of loosely tapped into. And so, but I think that your, you know, this process that you have found in the way that you sort of like, you know, go about your day. And I, as everybody knows, like Courtney and I have kind of like, our brains are sort of like, we have like two different brains that kind of say the same thing, but we say them in very different ways. And my process and like my day looks very different, but I completely share the same concept of like, you have to, this business is a bit of a roller coaster, right? So what you need to carry you through it in order to have really like long sustaining success and buildable success is not only to like, you know, do these certain kind of like checkbox type activities, but you also have to have kind of a more global mindset of like, A, being super appreciative for what you have, and B, you know, also kind of letting that gratitude sort of like kick off your day, and that mindset kick off your day, because there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road. And I think especially for those of you that are kind of chasing this for the next couple of months, inventory is going to be tight. Okay, it's going to be real tight, whether you're in the US or you're in Canada. And that's going to mean there's some creativity that's going to happen. And so, you know, your events may need to be a little bit longer. You know, you have to get a little bit more creative with things like that. I can tell you that personally, some of my largest sales months were when we had like the worst inventory in the US ever in the history of the business. So one is not tied to the other necessarily. But again, a lot of that comes back to kind of your approach and the way that you envision your business and the way that you envision your role and the service that you're bringing to others and the way that you interact with them and the way that you share with them. It's all contributed to that. And so that's why I think kind of Courtney's process is really helpful. Again, because some of us are more kind of like, check off the to-do list, a little bit more type A. And what Courtney's talking about is a more, I don't know the right adjective for it, but it's a different way to tackle this.
Yeah, I think it's like, I always say I'm really like illogical and irrational. So it's not really like line your dot, like, or line everything up and check the box kind of thing. It's kind of like putting it out there and like it's mindset, and then your body follows is what I'm trying to say is, like for instance, this goal card that I made in January, I'll read it to you. It says, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm making over $20,000 per month by July 2020. As a Zaya presidential leader, I help my customers and teammates step into their true potential to become the best versions of themselves. So that's my goal card for every single day. And it's just really so far-fetched, or at least when I made it in January when I was, I guess I'd be executive. It's so far out there. And that's, I think, where it's different from what Aaron was mentioning, how the systems where you check off the boxes and you got director. Now what are you doing? Now you're going to senior director. It's kind of like putting that big massive goal out there, and then that's like my focus every single day is like going from where I was like executive to here, and it's like a big massive jump. So I think that's where it's kind of different.
I think the thing is that is sort of like the framework, right? That is sort of the like, that
Yeah.
lays the groundwork, right? But that's not the like nitty gritty, right? The nitty gritty is that you are super consistent with your posting. You are super consistent and persistent with your networking, right? So yes, like putting it out in the universe is like great. And like, yeah, I'm like, I want to be like, whatever. I want to be a size 2 and like a supermodel, but like, you know what I mean? You have to like do actions that tie back into that, right? And so I think that that's where you have the vision and you have the goals and you have the like, you created what you want this to look like and what you want it to feel like, but then you have to take that and you have to put that into action, right? And for me, that's why I always say, like the mindset, the term of mindset for me, it's always consistency, right? Like that is my version, that's my twist on it. But for me, it's being committed and consistent with, here is what it is that I'm going for. Here's what I'm working towards, whether it's today or a week from now or 6 months from now. And here are the actions that I am now putting into it. And what does that look like? And whether it's, focusing on, your sales or focusing on your team growth or things like that. And as you move through this process, when you're a brand new rep, your goal is just to kind of like, you're launching your business and you're sharing it with people and you're working on, creating some buzz and sort of just like getting yourself going. And then you start moving through this process where as you start to grow, and those of you that have any sort of like direct sales experience know that as you grow and as your team grows, your income grows along with that, right? And it's the concept of having this sort of like secure income that comes from the growth of a team. And it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of extra effort. But as you grow, then your goals may morph a little bit and your actions also sort of shift in with that a little bit as well, right? So then your focus and your perspective kind of shifts. And so getting to director is sort of this one step. And then as you reach that, then you have to sort of like continue to shift and mold in order to sort of get going past that and then what that looks like. But I think having a framework of, an understanding that like this is doable and attainable truly for anybody. You do not have to have direct sales experience. You can have direct sales experience and have not been very successful with it or have not had nearly the same level of success. And you can still be incredibly successful with Zaya. But it does take kind of having a framework to know what it is that you're going for, and then putting those things into place and putting them into action. And again, recognizing who it is that you're talking to, who you're trying to connect with, who it is that you're trying to recruit, what modalities you're going to use, whether you're Instagram, your Facebook. Courtney's very Facebook centric. I kind of dabble, but I'm much more sort of Instagram heavy, right? And so we all kind of have our portals of choice and various platforms that kind of speak more to us. But you just sort of like, you have to create, again, a persona for yourself and an attitude for yourself as like the bubble, but then take those things into action for like, okay, and now here's what I'm going to do with them each day.
Yeah, and I'm just on Frankie's message there. That's the basis of it. Like if you have to know that you can do it, like that it's so attainable for you. And I think that's the root of it. And just that belief in knowing that, yeah, no problem. I can be director. And I think that's where, for me, the affirmations come in, because I come from a past where I had like no confidence and no belief in myself. So affirmations really, that repetition helped make me believe in myself that I was capable. And I think that's one of the first steps too, is believing that you can achieve director. Absolutely you can.
Yeah.
And then Erin, I'm not sure like if we should talk about like social media. Like I know I get a lot of questions about, well, what should I post about? Like how do you get reps and how do you get sales? Should we dive? Oh, it says we only have 10 minutes though.
Yeah, no, but I think it's good to kind of like, I do think it's good to sort of like touch base on that as well. And again, like this is for everyone, like this is going to be like, this is like a kickoff, right? This is like a launching pad. This is not like a one and done, because there's so much within these topics. And so I wanted this call just to be sort of a like, here's where we're headed, here's what we're looking at. And to kick off May with like Mindset May, we're going to like really sort of like, you know, kind of start diving into this stuff as a team and learning from each other and seeing what's working and what's helping and all of that. And we can do these calls every week, whatever it is, we can figure out what is helpful to everybody. But yeah, I do think it's important to tailor this conversation with social media, because it's, right now it is the mainstay of everybody's business, whether you're, I really love in-person events. That's not happening. So it's all social media right now. So I think, or in emails or whatever it is, it's all virtual. So I think it's very important.
I think the main thing though is just like you said, like being consistent on social media. I mean, some of you guys have heard me.
That's the other thing I was to say about like Courtney's like social media. When you look at it, her posting is framed from her mindset work, right? So what is sort of globally shaping her view of like what her goals are and what her business is then it comes through in the language that she uses and the way that she crafts her story. And some of this also ties into, you know, understanding what like your why is, which I find to be a very like kind of touchy-feely thing that I'm like not touchy-feely. And so the whole like, what's your why? And like, whatever, I struggle with that. And you'll find there's a lot of leaders in Zaya that will say the same thing, that they're like, what's your why? But it is important in the way that it ties into, and you can read Courtney's post and you know what her view is, you know where her vantage is, you know where she's coming from, where she is headed by reading and connecting with her. And it's telling a story, and it's the art of that storytelling and what that looks like. At Summit last year, we had Kendra Hall speak to us, and she wrote a book called The Art of Storytelling. Highly recommend looking up her stuff if you're not familiar with her. She lives in New York City, and she crafts incredible stories, and she coaches other people how to do that. And but Courtney is able to do that through her messaging, because you can tell she has a global goal, right? She has like an overarching view that then sort of like feeds her conversations that she's having with the masses that are reading and connecting with her.
Yeah, I mean, I want you guys to know though that I didn't start there. Like I've been on the social media space for about 6 years now. My posts used to look like, I used to be at Beachbody back in 2014, and my post used to be like a picture of a challenge pack, and it was like, you ready to work out today? Like that, it totally evolves. And I found by reading personal development and diving into personal development, that's what really kind of transformed my posts. And just kind of sharing my day-to-day, like about the kids and all that kind of stuff. Like, you don't want to just splat Zaya everywhere, and you don't even have to use the term Zaya. I like to use the term activewear shop or e-commerce site, just because I just don't like using the term, especially now that it's growing. I like to pique some people's curiosity. So I try to stay away from like my Zaya business, and I say my e-commerce site or my activewear shop. But I really found diving into personal development, especially like Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect. I love that book. And it really helps fuel a lot of my, turns a lot of my wheels and helps me spin and create posts. So like finding people that inspire you, like maybe someone on Instagram has a post that's inspiring and then you make your own spin on it. That's how I kind of got into the habit of doing posts like this.
Yeah, I agree. I would highly recommend spending some time, even if you're not like an Instagram person, just kind of like connecting with some of the other Zaya reps that speak to you, right? And maybe not even just Zaya, maybe other companies as well. There's lots of people that I follow that are not Zaya reps that I feel like I emulate some of their like posting styles and things like that as well. But again, and there's times where I'm like, I don't know what I have to say today. Like, I don't, I'm just sort of like at a loss. I have like serious writer's block at times. And that's a lot of times when I'll kind of go in and be like, what's everyone talking about right now? More quarantine life? Okay, sure. Like, how can I incorporate that in, right? Whatever it is. But use, there are so many people, again, that have all these different backgrounds and all of these different styles, and find what speaks to you, and then, help that incorporate into your messaging and things like that as well. But it's important to know who it is that you're talking to, right? My husband and I were talking about this week. Like, who am I talking to? Am I trying to talk to reps that I want to buy from me? Am I trying to talk, or potential people that I want to sell to? Am I trying to talk to people that I want to recruit? Am I trying to talk to my warm network? Am I trying to talk to my cold? Like, who am I talking to, right? Like, what am I saying, and who am I talking to? And sometimes you just need to have those like conversations. And Courtney and I think can speak for both of us. We're happy to do like one-on-one stuff for people as well. But there's times where, you have to really hone in more on like, again, and this comes back to like, what are your goals right now? Like, do you need to sell more? Like, do you need to move some product in order to hit whatever this goal is, because your PV is what's holding you back? Or do you have an abundance of PV, but you need to recruit people? Maybe you can recruit people, but you're nervous about mentoring and sponsoring them. The beauty of this huge team is that you have a million bazillion resources and people that can help you mentor and kind of inspire each other as well, right? So it's not just all on one of us to like, kind of sustain and support the whole team, right? We're all sort of here to help each other. That's the beauty of having a large growing team. And some of this again comes back to Courtney's point about mindset. Don't let this like concept of like, oh, it's $10,000, like that's a lot of group volume. It is, but like if you break down the math and you have a couple people working in tandem together and supporting each other, it's super doable. It's not easy, but it is super, super doable. So sometimes you have to kind of back up from it a little bit and just kind of like look at it a little bit more like, oh wait, like if I just had another person who was working as hard as I am, or two more, like we could totally do this. So maybe I need to kind of tailor my messaging more in a way that kind of attracts people to want to know more about what I'm doing, right? Or the benefits that I'm seeing from being a part of this company. Or vice versa, maybe I have a first line that's like killing it, right? And is amazing at sales, but like I need to get like mine up, right? So I need to be seeking out some more events, or finding some more people to refer me to their friends, or, more kind of like sales focused type posting without being salesy, obviously. So again, it's just sort of knowing sort of what path you're on and kind of where you need to be sort of targeting yourself in order to like create those successful moments. Does anyone, we have just like a couple minutes. I'm making sure there's no questions or anything I was missing. Is this helpful? And do you guys want to do more of these? Yes, no, maybe. I mean, you don't have to come. You don't have to show up. But so, okay. So I think what would be helpful is just to kind of like, if Sundays are good, like we can kind of keep doing these evenings. They work well for me. Hopefully they work okay for you guys and we can continue to record them. And then we will kind of pick some focused topics that we'll keep sort of digging into that are kind of like the nitty gritty of all of this as well going forward. Does that sound good? Okay. All right, everyone have an amazing evening and a super great start to the week, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.